What's up everyone, John from Beyond ARTV. It's time for another episode of my weekly countdown series 7 on Sunday. Why am I talking so fast? It's because I'm excited to talk about 7 super underrated Panic at the Disco songs, all the way from their debut album A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, all the way through their most recent effort up to this point, Death of a Bachelor. Nothing off that new album I could consider underrated yet, because 1, it's not out at the time of recording this video, and 2, the songs that are out, I don't think that they've had time to become underrated. Anyways, with that being said, there's so many great songs in Panic's discography, and while I've kind of fallen off with some of their more recent material, I don't enjoy it quite as much, I have to say that there's been at least a few great songs on every single album that they've released, and a few outliers that were like bonus tracks and that sort of thing you're gonna see as this list goes on. Don't forget to drop a like on the video today if you do enjoy it, and let me know some of the songs that you think are underrated by Panic. Keep in mind that these aren't the only 7 songs that I think are underrated, I just wanted to pick 7 that kind of represented different parts of their discography. Anyways, here's my very first choice, Mercenary. So of course my very first pick today is Mercenary. This was off of the Batman Arkham City game soundtrack, and obviously for that reason, not as many people know about it because it wasn't actually included on an album. This came out in 2011, which was the same year as Vices and Virtues, and while I was still super hyped on that record at the time, even the bonus tracks, I was always going to be amped for more music from Panic, and Panic came through. At that time, it was just Brendan Urie and Spencer Smith, and they actually made this song specifically for the soundtrack. It was kind of geared towards the perspective of like Batman or Bruce Wayne, but it was also kind of ambiguous enough so that it could really be maybe just about a lover who loves him and leaves him and goes for his nights out on the town. And I love how fast-paced this song is. It kind of like flies around like a bullet, and you get a fly-on-the-wall perspective to all these happenings. And I would say that this is a more rock-oriented track, so if you're into Panic at the Disco and you like their more rock-tinged sound, and maybe you've never heard of this before, please check this one out.
Baby, we built this house on memories. Take my picture now, shake it till you see it. And when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in your house of memories.
While I still to this day do not enjoy Death of a Bachelor as an album overall, this is probably my favorite track alongside the title track, Death of a Bachelor. House of Memories is a really cool one that sees a lot of progressions. I love the chiming keys on this track, the way that it builds momentum as it goes. It feels a bit mysterious as Brendan kind of unravels all of these memories and all of these years that are kind of going by, and he's talking about the situation, the story, perhaps this relationship, and the musicality surrounding it builds that mystique. I love the vibe and allure that this track has, and that's what's kept me coming back over time. I know this album's only been out still a few years at this point, but this is probably the track that I play the most frequently. Let's give some credit to former member Dallin Weekes for this one, because he was only a full-fledged member on Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die. He stepped back down to touring member for Death of a Bachelor, and as we all probably know at this point, no longer with the band. He's doing his own thing with I Don't Know How But They Found Me. That's for another video though. So the lyrical content was handled by Dallin Weekes here, and I really like what he came up with. It's kind of this story of a guy who sees a girl that he likes, and all the boys want her madly, and this one plays out in a very theatric role. This was actually a bonus track on Too Weird on the Target edition, so you know I had to pick that up because that and Can't Fight Against the Youth, both of those of course are underrated, but I landed on this one just because I love those chiming keys and the backing vocals on this one, and the story behind the track. It's truly interesting and has a very unique vibe that reminds me a little bit of early Panic. I don't think I have to remind you, but Pretty Odd in general is pretty damn underrated. This is coming in at number 4, When the Day Met the Night. Brendon Urie sounds honestly quite gorgeous on this one. Those vocals are on point. In fact, this song in general uses illusions of the earth, the sun, the moon, everything that's seen around him. He's able to really paint that into a relationship and the way that he sees things. When the day met the night. This is something that does feel like, I don't know, maybe you're in a cabin somewhere, you're looking out at the world around you and just being inspired, because that's what brought to life a lot of Pretty Odd, and you can truly see that reflected in a song like this. It's lush and it's instrumental, the guitars, the outside instrumentation that you probably wouldn't expect. Even the percussion is different here, and that's something that made this album and specifically this song stand out in a major way.
Never look better, you can't stand it, because you say so under your breath to your reading lips. When did he get all confident? Haven't you heard that? I'm the new cancer, never look better, and you can't stand it.
Number 3, let's see how fast I can say the title here. There's a good reason these tables are numbered, honey, you just haven't thought of it yet. Whew, that was impressive. So these tables are numbered obviously comes from their debut album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Ryan Ross being the primary lyricist here, obviously credited also are Spencer Smith and Brendon Urie for songwriting credits, but I think that was more to some additional lyrics and obviously the musicianship as well. This track reminds me of an older style of music, as does much of Fever. Maybe a little bit of a callback to the theatric 50s or the swinging 40s, or even earlier in some ways. I like the fact that he's really just kind of hyping himself up. This is an ego trip in a way, saying that he's going to do all of these things. I'm the new cancer, all of these other just weird brags, but I love the way that it comes together. And Ross's lyrics along with Urie's voice, it's just a match made in heaven, and I truly want to see more from them in the future. Just maybe a reunion at some point, even if it's just a one-off show, and they've got to play this song.
I wanna be loved, I wanna be more than you're thinking of. Everything seems to be a strange when you're alone.
Number 2, I Wanna Be Free off of Vices and Virtues. I can't tell you how many different editions of this record there were, so I just had to download and collect all of these different bonus tracks back in the day. I remember when the album came out, I was initially disappointed with the standard edition of Vices, and honestly, I still kind of am. It's one of my least favorites from them at this point. But I would say that the bonus tracks truly help kind of wait out and fill out this record. And one of my favorites that I had to put on this list is I Wanna Be Free. This is one of those soaring tunes that just can make you feel happy. It's a blissful moment that makes you kind of shrug off the world and say, you know what, let's take the burdens and put them over here. I Wanna Be Free is the main line, the main reference in this track. It's the jumping off point, and I think that the rest of this track being built around that really helps it succeed. The musicianship here and the strong guitars and even the fervent drumming is very spirited, very of the Vices era, but in a way it kind of transcended it, because this and a lot of those other bonus tracks, they just showed so much more spunk than the rest of the initial album did. And not to totally slam that album by any means, I just feel like something like this stands way up here. The rest of those, they're down here somewhere. Listen up, people. Number 1, please pay close attention, because this is off of Too Weird, and I don't want you to miss a single thing that I'm going to say about this track. This is one of my favorite Panic at the Disco songs, if not my favorite at this point, and it is so criminally overlooked. This is a song that is so well written, so full of emotion in a very odd way, and a non-conventional way. This track is called Far Too Young to Die. This belongs at the top of really any list of just underrated Panic songs because it has everything. It has a more modern-leaning vibe that Panic's been known for over their past few albums, and they match that synthetic world with more of, I don't know, a down-to-earth personality in the lyrical content and the metaphors and the way that he talks about twisting allegories. It's all beautiful. I am just so honed in every single time. I know I talked recently about songs you can't skip on shuffle. This is absolutely one of those. And really since 2015, that's when I added this song back to my rotation, and it's stayed in my saved music on Spotify ever since then. As the song progresses, we go from that synthesizer opening and that trembling background to all that clicking and everything, that boop, 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 boop. It's something that gets a little bit earwormy at first, and you're like, all right, you're tapping your foot along, this is good, this is good. But once it finally breaks in towards the end, and I never really thought that you'd come tonight while the crown hangs heavy on either side. Give me one last chance, because we're far too young to die. As the drumming just picks up in a very thunderous way, and the guitars start to roar to life, and I even have a little breakdown there, and they combine with that early instrumentation that was sparse at first. It's beautiful. And I'm sorry if I butchered any of the lyrics there. I'm just going off the top of my head here, but I love this song so much, and you should too. That's it for this episode of 7 on Sunday, the subsidiary edition where I do super underrated songs for insert band here. Today that was Panic at the Disco, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did, and check out the playlist if you want to hear all of these songs for yourself. There's a YouTube playlist down below. Once you've dropped a like and subscribed to the channel, consider supporting me on Patreon at this annotation over in the corner of your screen here. You can always leave suggestions for future episodes of 7 on Sunday in the comment section down below. Upvote some of the ones that you want to see most. Last week's episode here, another underrated video here, socials in the description, and I'll see you soon on Beyond ARTV.